Hey everybody, this is Brad from the Stock and Options Room here at the ShadowTrader.net Live Trading Suite. And today I want to talk about how to handle gaps. And in this case, I want to start and talk about Boeing today because Boeing had a pretty big gap down this morning on Monday, December 30th. The market or the stock itself closed over 180 bucks on Friday. Everything was looking great. And then, of course, the news came out about the very sad, horrific, tragic plane crash in South Korea. So the stock gapped down, and I've been long for a while. You know, my basis is around 140 bucks, and I didn't want to sell the stock. I wanted to stay long, but you know, things happen. And basically, I want to kind of talk about how to handle gaps. Now, there are two kind of gaps, of course. There are good gaps when, you know, you're long a stock and the gap or the stock gaps up in your favor, which is always great. And then there's the bad kind of gap when you're long and the stock gaps down. Now, obviously, if you're short a stock and it gaps lower, that's great. If you're short a stock and it gaps higher, obviously that's a bad thing. But whatever the case may be, folks, there's long gaps, there's short gaps, and depending on what your position is, you're either very happy or very sad. But there are ways to deal with gaps that I want to go over with you right now. And today in the trading room, I talked about possibly selling Boeing. Now, I didn't know, exactly how damaging it was going to be to the stock. We really don't know if it was pilot error or it was something with the plane, yada, 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 right? So there's a lot of information still out there to be, kind of gained. But what I did was I basically used a first 5-minute low, which is this bar right here. Okay. Now, all this here, by the way, is the overnight trading, right? This is the 930 bar at the open right here. And as I saw the stock, kind of take out the overnight low, I was like, all right, that's not good. Maybe I have to just bail on the stock. But I've learned over the years, and this is exactly why we're talking about this, rather than panic and trade on an emotional, event, I wanted to give it some time. So basically what I told everybody in the room is I'm going to give it a 5-minute bar. Now, if the stock were to take out the 5-minute low, obviously that would mean a lot more selling and I would have exited the trade. But instead, it never took out the first 5-minute low. And that was right around 170 bucks, right? I set an alert. I said, if it breaks 170, I'm just out. Because again, I didn't know whether the stock was going to get pummeled another 10 points. It was already down 10 points basically, from the close on Friday. And I'm like, oh, great. But look, these things happen, folks, okay? And it could have gapped up 10 points in my favor. And I'll tell you how to deal with that in a minute. But, when a stock gaps against you, whether you're long or short, the one thing to do, and this is what I'm telling you, either use a 5 or a 15-minute bar and give it some time. And the difference is if it gaps close to a stop, okay, use a 5-minute bar. Now, look, this is a kind of a unique situation because I did not have a stop down here. The stock was looking pretty good. Let's go back to the daily chart for a second, right? The stock obviously was looking much, much better. And if I were to have a stop in Boeing, and by the way, I do have, mental stops, and I also kind of look at certain things, where I would get out. But, on Friday, the stock, like I said, closed above 180 bucks. Now, if I was going to sell the stock, my stop would have been probably like 179 or 178 half, just below Friday's low. Okay. But remember, the stock opened way down here, close to $170, $171. All right. But anyway, that neither here nor there. The important thing to remember is, all right, if it gaps close to your stop, use a 5-minute bar. All right. So in this instance, let's pretend my stop was 169. All right. And obviously it opened here at 170, whatever, 170. I think the opening trade was around 173, dropped to almost 170 bucks. Never took out the 169, right? So then we use a 5-minute bar. Okay. Now, if it gaps through your stop, And again, for example's sake, suppose my stop was 169 bucks and it opened at like 168. At that point, you want to give it a little bit more time, use a first 15-minute bar. Because again, what's going to happen is either, you're going to get a reversal like we did today, or, if you see a first 15-minute bar form and all of a sudden it takes the first 15-minute low out, well, then guess what? You got to get out. And guess what? It might be, it obviously is going to be a bigger loss, because if your stop was 169, it opens at 168 and never gets back above, and all of a sudden it takes out a 15-minute low, whatever that happens to be, well, then, yeah, you're still going to take a loss and stuff happens and move on. Okay, but what we have found a majority of the time, ladies and gentlemen, that once that erratic behavior, because obviously people are nervous, what's going on, like just like me, is it going to go down another 10 points? Is it not going to do this, going to do that? Just relax and use either a 5 or a first 15-minute bar and put your stop below the low and then wait and see what happens. And ladies and gentlemen, as you can see here, just being calm and not panicking out, the stock is now back up 7 points roughly from the $170 low today. Right? So that saved me a lot of money. Okay. Now, real quick, what happens when a stock gaps up? Right? You're long a stock and all of a sudden it gaps up. Let me just get onto another chart here. I don't know. First thing comes to mind maybe is like Broadcom. Now, Broadcom gapped up way back here on December 13th. Okay. Now, your long Broadcom, your target is 200 bucks. The stock gaps all the way up here at, let's call it 210 for easy math. So now you have an additional $10 of gain in the stock, and you're what? You're happy as a pig in mud. You're like, oh my God, my stop was 200. It's now 212 or 210. Let me just get out. Don't do that, right? Do not do that. Wait, like I said, a first 5 or first 15-minute bar, or in the case of a big gap up, wait for the whole day to trade and then move your stop below the low of the day. Okay? And then, of course, what do you do after that? If the stock continues to go up, well, you guess right, move the stop up again. So then your stop goes from here to here, and you just locked in an additional, well, that low was like 211. The low up here was 230, basically. All right? So then your stop would be there. Remember, your target was 200 bucks, and you're now still long the stock 30 points higher. All right? And then what do you do from there? You use the next day low. Now you got even more money. And obviously now you're stopped out on this day here, which was that big Wednesday Fed down day. If it weren't for that day, the stock probably would have kept going. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's how you handle stops. That's how you handle gaps. And it's a good way and method to not panic, not trade emotionally. Let the market breathe a little bit, if you will. Use a 5, use a first 15-minute low. And by the way, even if you used the first 5 or 15-minute low on the 13th, or used the first 5 or 15-minute low on the 16th, folks, you still would have got a lot more money in your pocket had you just, oh my God, it gapped up, let me get out, okay? So try to remain calm, try to be patient. Again, I did the same thing this morning in Boeing. Instead of panicking out, I gave the stock some time. I used the first 5-minute bar. And at this juncture, I'm still long the stock. Anyway, I know it's a little bit long-winded, but hope it helps, and hope to see you in the room. Take care. Peace. Hey, everybody. This is Brad Agunis with ShadowTrader.net. Thank you for taking the time to watch this short video. If you like what you saw, hit the like and subscribe button below. Also, you can check us out, ShadowTrader.net/squawk. And if you want to trade live with myself or any of the other Shadow Trader moderators, sign up, give us a try. Take care. Good luck trading, and see you soon.